And I remember that night just being so upset before I fully had an understanding of what was happening with me and just hitting myself in the head. And also pinch myself really hard. I know I couldn't help it, but I think it's just so much harder than anyone knows. When I get triggered, I feel very tense and rigid, and I immediately get this fight or flight instinct. And so if I'm in a place like a restaurant where someone's smacking their food really loud, I feel stuck. And I try to escape that sound in whatever way I feel like I can. So whether that be through music or whether that be having to leave the place that sound originated from, however that looks at a certain time. For me specifically, there's sounds that tend to do kind of with the head, so like sniffling, breathing, clearing your throat, sneezing, things kind of like that. Sometimes the trigger plays in my head for minutes on end, and so I'm making other noises like loud humming or like singing up in an obnoxious way. Not even like good singing, just like really bad singing or any noise I can make to try to get another noise in my head to try to get my frustrations out.
Misophonia, I think, started when she was a preteen, and I just attributed it to hormones and sibling rivalry because her triggers were her brother sniffling. So that's my memory of when it started. The first time that I remember Katrina reacting negatively to a noise, I think it was on the way to a concert, one of her brother's concerts, and she's normally just this really loving, kind, really wonderful person, and he sniffled, and he had a cold, and he sniffled, and she just blew up, like, where is this coming from? And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, who is this girl? It just was totally out of character, and that's what I remember.
Every time I would hang out with my brother, it was always a great experience. We were really good friends, and we'd always gotten along. But when these noises came into my life, I had to take time away from him. I couldn't play with him. I wanted to, but I couldn't. I remember one time he was sniffling, and it was just really irritating me. I had just gotten some headphones for Christmas, and so I remember getting those headphones, plugging them into my little CD player, having those on, turning on the TV, making it as high as my parents would allow, and then on top of those things, putting my hands over my ears and humming. And I had all of those layers of protection just to help protect me from those little sniffles that my brother had.
The sounds that I do that bother her are chewing, particularly if I eat nuts, and breathing. I can't just normally breathe, not like type of breathing, but just normal breathing. And I don't know how she can even hear it, but somehow she can, and it really bothers her. She just starts hissing or, just getting very angry, and it's very stressful being around someone who is really, truly enraged. I can't even breathe. I mean, what do you want me to do? Die? I mean, and I just feel there's no way that I can accommodate that because I can't not breathe.
In my mom's eyes, my misophonia is an issue. Something that I need to fix. Something that's wrong with me in a sense. One time I was laying in her bed next to her. My brother was in the next room. And I was just playing my video game, and then he sneezed. I think I went into humming. And so she said, keep sniffling, keep sneezing. And she called me insensitive. And that stuck with me. I don't know how to describe the feeling. It was a sinking feeling. All my life I've been told by everyone that I'm kind, I'm caring, I'm sensitive, I'm sweet. And then to have my own mother call me insensitive because of the way I reacted to something. And I remember that night just being so upset not at her, at myself, for being triggered and having acted the way I did. The darkest place I have been in because of my misophonia would be when I was contemplating taking my own life. This happened around a time where I was already pretty angsty. My parents were just going through a divorce, and on top of that, I had a friend commit suicide. And so it was really hard. The misophonia was a tipping point because it was just one more thing that I couldn't ever relax because of it. I had to feel like I was on guard constantly. I didn't know when the next sound would occur, and if it did, it was just too much for me to handle. When you feel like you have to be on guard when you're at your own house, it is so much. I struggle with it today. And so after a long day of school or work and having to come back and then having to deal with triggers, it's a lot. One extreme case that I heard of that really scared me was someone who couldn't stand the voice of their mom. I love my mom so much, and I would never want that to happen to me. Family is really important to me, and it always has been. I don't want to have to miss out on my children growing up or miss out on times with my spouse just because I have this condition. I've heard of some people with misophonia actually getting these like headphones that have kind of like a white noise kind of thing in them, and they kind of turn them on whenever they're around people. And I know that my mom has always been like, Katrina, why don't you just go get the white noise headphone things? I guess I feel upset sometimes about having to live a life in constant fear of these noises, just wanting to live a normal life. And so not getting these headphones or not having to leave a room makes me feel like I'm living as normal as a life as I can, even though I have this condition.
I'm sure for her, it's something she has to think about 24/7. But for living with her, I just love her. And we just try to do, we just try, we just do what we do. And if it's something that doesn't work, we just have to shift gears and be flexible.
I think the awareness and the constant new research about misophonia will help people to maybe not be able to find an exact cure, at least in my lifetime, but to find ways to help people better cope with misophonia, which is all I could really ask for right now.